So standardization, it's things like branding, but it's also things like search. I would tell you again, one of the mistakes that I see is that people start SharePoint as collaboration. If you've been to any other user adoption seminar today, hopefully it has been drilled into you that that's no es bueno, as they say in my native tongue. So you've got standard site definitions, branding, and search. And if you start with search and an easy department, big win. Because you're gonna have a smaller set of documents. You're gonna be able to teach them how to properly title and use metadata. You're gonna be able to get them before they've used a bunch of folders in their file share. So hopefully you can teach them some of that metadata. And then you're able to prove to them that search works, because we all know that on day one, what's everybody going to do? They're going to upload a bunch of documents and immediately try to search for them. Does anybody know anything about search timer jobs? Yeah. You can't search for your document immediately. Okay, but who had that conversation? Who had that conversation with the server admins? If those groups are separate, if you're not talking to your server admins when you're developing and standardizing your product, oh, wow. Just go back and do it again, because you're going to have their cooperation. We talk about executive sponsorship. All of that is true. But for example, we have a lot of company departments call us up and want us to brand their site. We have to turn that business away if we can't get into their IT department and get the full cooperation of their IT group, because they're going to have to change some settings, and we're just going to have to talk through some of this stuff with them. So development, business intelligence, and publishing portals. This is where we start to see. This is where we start to see a lot of people coming in, again, these executive sponsors. We're going to have a dashboard, right? Just give us a dashboard. Great. But in order for me to give you a dashboard, you have to give me good data that's properly categorized and that has some data validation built into it, possibly some custom development if you want to see colors on the page, because we can't really do any of that conditional formatting in MOS 2007 that you have in your Excel spreadsheets. So you really have to take these little chunks. You know, people keep calling them big wins, but a big win isn't necessarily changing the BI in every single department in the company. Pick one, small. I like safety. I like to use HSE because their deliverables are pretty basic. You can just do them with SharePoint lists. So it's things like whether or not everybody's turned in their safety reports, that type of a thing. So we can just do basic key performance indicator lists, and those are things that can go out on the front page of the new intranet or the portal. But don't pick all of HR. Don't pick all, just pick safety, for example, or security. Let's see, process improvement, so content management, collaboration, forms and workflow. Another, everybody says, we want workflow. I think workflow is as misunderstood as the word governance, right? I mean, everybody wants workflow. Okay, the first question is, are you sure that you can't just do that by turning content approval on in the document library? Why do we have to make it so complicated? So it's a matter of understanding, what are my options? What's my beginning, intermediate, and advanced level of any one of these process improvements? Can I make it better by just turning on content approval? Show them content approval. The problem is that it's two sides of the same problem. We either don't ask them what they want because we know they don't know SharePoint and they wouldn't know how to ask for it anyway, or we don't ask them, what are your current processes? Because here's what happens. We try to go in and ask them what their current processes are, and we learn that they have no idea. So literally, you have to start from the very beginning with some of these departments, and you have to say, let's write down 3 processes that you have. Let's just write them down, put them in the little Visio with the little stopgaps and the colors and the swim lanes and the roles. You are going to know so much about your SharePoint information architecture after doing that. Way more than you're ever going to know doing anything else. Learn their business process, and if they don't know them, then tell them, we can't go any further, and let me tell you why. We can't go any further because I don't know your security groups. I don't know who approves things here. We can't go any further because I don't know your audiences. Who's consuming information? Who's uploading information? I need to know how this whole thing works. When we create this document, who creates it? Do we do a file save as? Is it a template that exists somewhere? So I typically try to phase it. Don't immediately transform everything into an InfoPath form. Stop. Do the baby step, get them using it, and then when you have time and, oh, I don't know, justification to train somebody on how to develop InfoPath, then we can do InfoPath forms. Don't promise InfoPath forms. Don't start there, or everything's going to be InfoPath, and then now you're completely off track of whatever the goal was of the project. So you've got to be really careful with this process improvement stuff. It starts by knowing their processes, and I guarantee you most of them don't. So when I say pick somebody easy, pick somebody who knows their processes. Find out who's got their process maps, start with them. I guarantee you it won't take 2 months to get their stuff in because they know their business. They know the answers to your questions. Don't start with the problem child.